Hello, storytellers. It's Storytelling Ron. This is about how Dungeons and Dragons is not your thing anymore. Okay, it's not your thing, and I'm trying to get across this message that you got to free yourself from 5e. Don't be defensive about it. As a Christian playing role playing games, I love RPGs, but I'm now. I used to be 5e, right? I have videos. I'm leaving them on my YouTube channel, and I talked to a pastor about it, where I defended 5e, but I was really trying to defend RPGs, the neutral version, the neutral term of RPGs, but I was so ensconced in the 5e thing. I think that's the right verb or word, whatever. That I because so when my daughter kind of came to me when she was 13, we trying to do things, play games together and all that, and computer games, and I decided, I'm going to do 5e because it's time now to do RPGs again. I was doing Warhammer 40k, which I'm going to bring up here in a sec, but I was into I want to do something that was like there's a community of right. There's a community of people doing this, and that thusly, if I have my teach my daughter this, she can go on in her life and play with other people and have a good social fellowship in 5e Dungeons and Dragons. But we all Christians, we got to realize this, and we see it already. And you know this. Everything goes left. Everything that is not on the is not biblical, and we already goes left, goes towards this sort of progressive, whatever the flavor of the pagan month thing is. It's going to go that way, and it's going to force everyone else to go that way, and obviously deny Christ. Um, and that's what's happening to Dungeons and Dragons now. To Marvel, to Disney, to Star Wars, everything, HBO Max now, and Hulu, and everything. I just like, man, I've actually gotten now Angel Studios app on my thing and PureFlix on my thing. I'm slowly, I'm gonna, I don't know, we'll see. I hope, but that's why I'm creating this content too, because I want there to be something out there for you guys to watch and see, and myself, that is not going woke, not going communist, full on Marxist, BLM, whatever. Uh, so Dungeons and Dragons is and Dungeons and Dragons is just not fun anymore. I don't like it. I don't like the way it works, the way it turns people into these little superheroes, and they follow this little path of these character classes and that tell them what to do, and then they're just so thrilled and they just do whatever the thing tells them to do. I don't like that. I don't like that. That's not storytelling anymore. We're not together telling a story anymore. We're together following index cards or whatever it is. I mean, it feels like like you're reading an index card full of notes for everything you want to do, and I don't like it. And then when you go up to third level, you get like five or six different things to that. Every character gets five or six different things. That, oh, I'm this now, and I got this, and I'm like, okay, whatever, do it. And when we combat, it's like, okay, I'm doing this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and I got to react, and I got to pass me, and I got to follow up magical attack. And you done yet? You killed my guy? Okay, fine. Let's move. I'm just, I'm finishing up Tomb of Annihilation right now, and they're all like 10th, 12th level. And I gave them magic items and powers and stuff because that's what I want. That's D&D. And I'm at the point now where it's just like, okay, whatever. And that's what happens at 10th level. So what I'm saying is these games are, I don't, you were being fooled. You're being fooled. I was fooled. I'm getting out of it now. I'm free from it. And the way I'm pitching for the Lord RPG, the way my system works, it's so simple that your character explores who they are in the game. Okay, they're not told, with these freaking archetypes and controlled, like, get these little paragraphs of what you can do and what you got to follow in and what level you're at and what you do next. And I'm just like, and then the spells, spells. Then whenever you do a spell, you got to read a freaking chapter here to see what it does and doesn't do, and then it's so confined. It's so like controlling. We got to like do a little debate every time they cast a spell. And then there's like all the add-on books and all the different 5e and 5e this and 5e that, where there's thousands of spells out there now, and players are going to go grab and look for something crazy that I've never even heard of. And I have a perspective on this that I am feeling now that I had before, and I left Warhammer 40k. I had huge armies. I'd go to my old hard drive and find the pictures, but I had like 100,000 points of this. Or what, I don't even I think it was 100,000. Like apocalyptic. Anyway, I don't want to go to there, but I started it because they had tanks. I had like 40 tanks plus the super main battle tanks, whatever. I love that you had soldiers and tanks, and you had this little army array. It was so cool. But when I was playing it, I saw it progress to where, and it's in here, but I really saw it as I was playing the game. There's a bunch of heroes in here, like NPC leaders, dudes, and they all have like all these special abilities and rules, and so people started just throwing a bunch of heroes on the wargaming table. And instead of having these armies go up against armies, I was like getting surrounded by superheroes that would come in, and they had these paragraphs of things that they would do. And it'd be like a lot of like kids who misread how they did it. And I'd have to, can we look at that? Just let me, you mind if I look at your codex and see, okay, so I know you're doing this, but you can't go do this until the next, and it was like, can we just have armies, just mortals going up against mortals in a battle, as opposed to these little superhero things? And that's what's happening in D&D, and with all these more and more character classes and subclasses and special and feats, and it's just like getting ridiculous. Like you're being told how to play the character, as opposed to you're being told to find little niches and follow that railroad of character class type of thing. So, and with levels, with all the character classes, you're being in spell lists, and you're being controlled. You're being controlled how to play that character. So in my game, I'm not giving you any of that. I'm not giving you a skill list. Now I'm going to start adding some just for the fun of it, like as guides or ideas. But you don't ignore all that. You can just play your character or as a GM, well, I'm talking about the characters right now, or players. You can play your player characters and you just play it, and I don't know what to do. Exactly. That's when you fail or you become innovative and you survive. And that's when you start to develop your character. Think about this. When you're 17 and you start off your adventure in medieval times, fantasy, whatever, you don't have a background. You don't have a background. Stop it. Stop it with these backgrounds. Start fresh. You might have some training, you might have some preparation, but it's 17. Come on. You don't have a background. You just have, you just have your little thing. And when they talk about backgrounds, like that should be in the adventure. All these backgrounds that are described in here, those should be adventured out. They shouldn't be, here's your little background and here's who you are. I mean, you can be an assistant cook or whatever, but that's not, you can't be like this soldier or this, whatever. You're fresh. Okay. You're a new kid starting an adventure, and then you play it out. You play out what you do, and be confused, be unsure of what to do or how to do things, and make mistakes. That's where growth comes from, is that. And then you start to figure out ways. Now, look, I've been fighting for over 10 years in medieval armor combat, and I've had injuries that take me out a few of those years. And I'm kind of at the age now where I'm not really going to go flying. I don't like flying around, so I'm not going to, sorry, I'm keep touching my face. It's my habit of mine. I've got new armor, so I've only recently, I've changed my fighting style only recently, after 10 plus years of doing this. And I'm kind of phasing out of it, but I'm excited about the new style of fighting I'm doing. So think about that. And that came through trial and error of actually doing it, going in and figuring out, getting exhausted, what succeeded, what didn't, through doing it. Okay. And that's the role playing to me. I want feet on the ground, exploring, you as a character or players exploring your character and having so minimal, things to do that you have to be innovative. You have to create ways to figure out how to survive or persuade your way out of something, or run away and then rethink what you're doing. I just, Dungeons and Dragons and most of these role playing games now, they sort of turn you into superheroes really quickly, so that you're just you're an agent of a demigod or a superhero. And I want us to play it where you're at ground level, full of fear and fun, and you're not trying to min-max. You're not trying to figure out how to beat the rules, how to counter anything the GM is going to put up against you. You're just trying to figure out your character and who they are, and we all kind of slow down a little bit and enjoy that. So, and For the Lord RPG is a fun game. It's not, you're not preaching. I mean, you are preaching, but you're preaching to the pagans only when they finally sort of settle down, or you've gotten them to settle down. There's a lot of fighting. There's creatures, there's monsters like demon possessed, And I'm trying very hard to push the boundaries of where of the things that you can encounter, so it feels like a fantasy game. But I don't want to. I don't want to make another fantasy role playing game where you're just changing the names and dates to Christian, and then you play the same way. Where you play a superhero or you play a. I want it to be like you're a missionary. You're fragile. The people around you are fragile. You've got to figure out how to deal with that. But also, there's fighting. Lots of fun fighting, and you're fighting beasts. You're fighting cultists. People who are not going to give up their evil ways. And so and there's magic. There's definitely magic, but obviously, oh sorry, this is from fighting. I got this. Apparently, these new gauntlets don't protect the last little bit of pinky there, and I got it crushed. So I've got to figure that out. But anyway, it's just a little gash. Anyway, so I don't even know what I was talking about. You're fighting. I gotta stop and pause a sec. What was I talking about? You're fighting. There's fighting. Whatever. There's fighting in this game. Okay. There's going to be a lot of fighting. It's fun. Even the women the men and women are different. The women cannot be wielding battle axes. I'm sorry. I've never seen it in this sport, and not going to happen. They can wield it, just not very effectively. Now could they kill with a battle axe? Sure, but it's going to have to be with a guy who's not aware and not a fighter or whatever. But I do give women. I'm careful about this. I do consider women in a combat situation, so they do have their options in that situation, and they can be lethal too. But they're just not. I don't want women and young girls to think that they're going to grow up to be a battle axe wielding barbarian. Okay, I want them to play this role. I might have said in another video, but there's a teen girl who played, and her brother and some other teen boys. And what was so cool is that she said, "You guys go up." I love that she knew to play her character that way, and she wanted the guys to go deal with this, scary situation. And she was going to be in the back, and then she was going to figure out what she was going to do. She was going to be supportive. She was going to, go around. She was going to maybe shoot her crossbow, but she was not going to just charge up. She knew to tell the guy, her brother, to go, and he, came up. So that was really I want that from women. I want girls to know that that's what men are about. We are about protecting and confronting that, and then they're a supportive role. Hate me, I don't know, sexist, whatever. So that's really important in my game, and I'm not gonna back off from that. And that men are pastors and women cannot be pastors in the church. They can be evangelists though. So, and the game is about evangelism, so they can certainly do everything that the men are in the game. But when the church is set up, it's a man being the pastor or priest, whatever. So there's that. And this, I am making this game fun and exciting. And the Dark Ages one, it can be expanded campaigns, and you guys can help me out here. So let me know if you want to work on some adventures. I'm going to do this one regional area, but we can create other regional areas with other campaigns. And I think I got to figure out a tenant, like a religious tenant, a Christian tenant, that we all agree on and stick in there. Because it's not necessarily about theology. You're not teaching theology. You're just trying to plant a church, get the people to accept the planting of a church. But in order to get them to accept it, there's going to be some sort of quest or danger or paganism controlling the area that you have to clear out first, or deal with, and then get them to either vanquish them or get them to surrender. And then you plant your church, and that's the role playing, kind of a fun role playing period. But again, it's not about deep evangelism, like Calvinism or Reformer Calvinism. I'm not really sure where my little thing is, but I'm in there somewhere. Creation science. It's not about that. It's not about teaching the Bible. It's just about them accepting Christ as a savior, in the sense of will you allow us to plant a church and open it up, and then stop sacrificing your children or stop enslaving people, kind of thing, and stop having gladiator arenas where you kill people for entertainment. So it's sort of like, it's not necessarily that you're forcing people to become Christian, but you are stopping them from doing cruel things to each other, cruel things or exploitive things to each other. And I like that this game is going to be controversial. It is, right? We're exposing paganism, And then we are then going to be exposed ourselves as Christians. Were we really that good back then? Were we really? I like that conversation. I'll take that conversation or argument, debate, mocking, scoffing. I'll take that. As it is now, we don't have that, right? We're just told to leave. We're told not to be Christians, not to act Christian, not to play Christianity in role playing games. So we don't even have a seat at the table at this point. And a little critique here of the other Christian RPGs that I've been finally finding and stuff is they're not missionary based. They're sort of just changing the names, dates, or names. They're just doing that sort of surface covering change of role playing games, but acting like pagans in the sense of doing works, fighting good versus evil. So I'm hopeful, and I do want to be supportive of Christian RPGs, but I don't want them. We shouldn't be just changing out one paganism for another kind of paganism. What Christians did back then was missionary work, and we changed the world. We changed the Christians changed Europe into what we have today, and all the benefits of it is being reaped by the free world today, and then Christianity is now being erased. So my goal here is to bring it back and expose that Christians planting churches across Europe was a success. It was in untold numbers, thousands, tens of thousands of churches, hundreds of thousands of churches spread out across Europe. And from that grew the culture that we have today. We have a culture of limited government. Well, you know what I'm saying? Trying to be limited. We have a culture of a republic or a democracy. And we have a culture. And no, I know you guys say, oh, I know, I'm just going on here. So people say democracy comes from Greece, right? It came from Greece around 400 BC, right? Around there. Who was in Greece around 400 BC? The Jews, the Old Testament. And remember, the Greeks back then looked at all religions because they were pagans, so they debated and looked at all religions. And back then, around 400 BC or 300, whatever it was, the the Old Testament, the Jewish Bible was translated into Greek because there were so many Jews in Greece. So, where did the Greeks get this republic democracy from? From the Old Testament. I'm going to make that claim right now. I mean, I don't know what other historians will, but in the Bible, Moses, it is described, and this is before Greece ever became a democracy. Moses and his father-in-law came and told him how to set up a republic. You have too much work on your hands. Delegate out. Have the people elect. Have the people elect out of 10 the best one, out of 100 the best, whatever. And they elected judges and leaders to help deal with all the issues that the Hebrews were having. And that's in the Old Testament. It's in whatever Exodus or whatever Moses' part was. But so the Greeks definitely 100% factually saw how the Jews in 400 BC in Greece were doing that. I know it's somewhere around 400, 500 BC. But I remember reading it. I remember looking at the Greeks started democracy around this period, and the Jews had the Septuaginarian around here. But that must have meant that for hundreds of years the Jews were there, and mainly Septuaginarian. The Old Testament translating into Greek means that they must have been there a long time beforehand before they decided to do that, because that's a huge, controversial thing to do, right? Because you go from Hebrew into Greek and translating, especially in the old ancient times. For someone to do that means it must have been eating them away for hundreds of years for them to get to finally do that, because they would not want to do that because they want to keep the traditions. Wow, did this go off to a different direction than I was expecting? Because I don't write my scripts out or whatever. But anyway, free yourself from 5e, D&D, 5e. It's free yourself from it. I'm begging you to come to, begging and trying to convince you to come to a Christian RPG that's missionary based. It is fun, okay? I want it to be fun. I don't want it to be a lecture or a sermon or you're in church again. I want it to be an adventure. And you can tone down the Christianity, lecturing evangelism part, if you guys, we just want to have fun and attack things. But you're going to still do that. You're still going to have that part of it. You just don't need to role play it out heavily. You can role play it out lightly if you just want to go to adventure and be like these whole warrior knights and clerics that want to go out and fight evil. But I think you'll start slowly enjoying the planting church role playing part. For you GMs, I'm gonna do another video about just sort of how you can GM this thing, and I need to start that up, like where I talk about how you GM this thing. All right, can't believe you here to the end. If you are, you get a inspiration. Oh, there you go. You get some inspired die.